Hello everyone, this video is just going to be a quick mod spotlight for Minables Overhaul, Team ASM's Modding Trials entry. Okay, so the basic idea behind the mod is it rewrites everything you know about ore gen and ore processing. First thing it does is removes all vanilla and modded ores that are registered to the ore dictionary and that it knows about. And it replaces them with its own ore clusters. So unlike vanilla ores, which tend to spawn in very small veins all over the world, Minables Overhaul spawns very large veins in extremely rare locations. So you'll have to look a bit to find them, but they are currently easy to spot because they kind of destroy the world above them. If there's any trees here, they would all be dead, and they spawn currently what's a very ugly pattern on the ground of just stone and ore blocks. So when you mine one of these, you get a broken ore which contains traces of certain minerals. This one contains gold, tin, redstone and iron. And you'll notice they only contain a very small percentage of these minerals. I'll get to that later. The thing to note here is this is not the ore vein. This just shows where the ore vein is located. I could try to describe how big it is, but I think it's easier to just show you. This is the actual ore vein. It's quite large, but there's a reason for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. Oh, I broke my village. Whoops. Oh well. Okay, so when you get this will all drop the exact same ore, which contains these minerals. And you can't just smelt this to get the ores out of it. That doesn't work. For that, there is a whole line of processing machines, which I will get to now. Okay, so there are currently 4 different stages of processing for the Minables Overhaul ore. You start with the broken ore. This is what drops from the ore veins when you harvest it, and it contains only very small traces of each mineral. The purity, that number on the right, is basically an indication of the ratio of minerals to other waste materials such as stone. The goal is to get that to 100% by the time you reach the ground ore stage. To put that into perspective, 100% purity will drop 4 ingots when processed. Now, that means that in order to get a reasonable amount of minerals, material, ingots, gems, whatever, from the ore, you're going to need to harvest a lot of it and process it down to this state. Okay, so the first thing you do is you need to crush the broken ore into crushed ore, and for that you will need the crusher. Early game you'll use a manual crusher, but as soon as you can you will probably want to upgrade to a powered crusher. So I'm just going to do that now. This is the manual crusher. You right click it and it will consume ore and spit out crushed ore. I'm just going to use a creative RF source to power this. This is the automatic crusher. You give it your broken ore. This is not the final processing speed, by the way. I just didn't want to wait. And it gives you crushed ore. That doesn't do anything to the particle size. Actually, no, never mind. The particle size is going away. That is just the behind the scenes flag, which is currently displayed. That doesn't do anything to the purity. Purity is still 84% on ore gold. But the next stage you will do, once you have that, is you need to sieve it using the coarse sieve. Early game, all you will have access to is the manual crusher and the manual sieve, or screen as they're called, which is basically a manual version of the coarse screen. And when you screen the ore using this, it will take up to 8 ore and it will combine it and give you back a crushed ore with the combined purity of the ore that it consumed. Really easier to see in this. Okay, so I'm going to put in 64 crushed ore, and the purity on the gold is 0.84%. That's combined into just 8 crushed ore, but with a higher purity. Now, you need to keep doing this until you get the purity to at least 25% on one or more of the ores. At this point, you can't combine it anymore with the coarse screen. If you were just starting out using the manual screen, this would be the point where you process this into ingots, and you will get at least 1 ingot from each of these dusts, crushed ore. But that's not good. That's just early game. Once you get towards the later game, you can take this and you can put it through the grinder. And what this does is turn it into ground ore, similar to how the crusher crushes the original ore down into crushed ore. Once you have the ground ore, you can then run it through the fine sieve and combine it even more to get up to 100% purity. At this stage, you can process it into gems or ingots, but actually no, sorry, I missed a step. There is also the centrifuge. This is a very important machine which somehow I missed. That is used to split this off into its individual ores, which once you've done that, you can no longer sieve it or crush it or do any of that stuff, so this is the final step. I will just use the manual one. No, not the manual one. The automatic one. Put this in here and you get your ore dusts. There is going to be some next stage processing which allows you to take your ore dusts and turn it into ingots or gems, but that doesn't actually exist yet. So for the moment, you can just take this and right click it and you get your ingots. There are a lot of mechanics which we had planned which didn't get implemented, such as... See, I'm not going to go into them because there's a lot, and a lot of it may or may not get added in the future, but I don't want to promise anything. Yeah, I think we got a decent start on this mod. We do have plans to obviously improve the effect above the ore veins. This is kind of ugly and doesn't look that great. That will get some decent changes in the future, assuming we continue development of this mod. But in the meantime, that is Minables Overhaul. Thank you for watching, and I apologize for this very terrible spotlight. I'm not good at spotlights. Thank you.